All praise to the Most High God. All praise to the Most High Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh Shah, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, today we're going to get into the true Sabbath. Is a Friday to Saturday Sabbath the fixed Sabbath, the true Sabbath, or is the lunar Sabbath the true Sabbath? Right? We got beloved brothers that keep a Friday and Saturday Sabbath. And we honor and respect those who's striving for righteousness, rehearsing these righteous acts. And by no way or means are we trying to throw shots, disrespect any camps out there. But us, we keep a lunar Sabbath.
Being Israelite not easy. We was raped, robbed, murdered, they beat me. Enemies, killed us in TP, set us enslaved, never want free me. Now we pushing that work, yeah, weekly. That real living, wanna know Fiji. Trying to put you on like a TV. When it come to the scriptures, pop out like it's 3D. When Noah had said it's gonna rain, everybody thought he was insane. Soon as I quote 2 Peter 3:10, everybody looking at me the same. Cause we came over here on the slave ships, but we gon' leave in a spaceship. 2/3 of our people just ain't gon' get it, but only 1/3 gon' make it in a chariot.
We're going to go into why we keep the lunar Sabbath and why we believe for it to be the true Sabbath, according to Scripture, right? So, Ashab Baba Kashar, can you go to Sirach 43 and 5?
Time. Sirach 43, Ecclesiastes 43 and 5. Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandments runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of time and a sign of the world.
Right. So this moon, right, he created to serve as for a declaration of times and for seasons. Right. Keep going.
From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreases in her perfection.
Right. This moon is a sign of feast. Right. The Sabbath is a feast. Not only is the Sabbath a feast, what do we see these times of feast as? Right. Let's go to Leviticus 23 and 4.
Leviticus 23 and 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Right. These feasts are the ones you got to proclaim in the season. Keep going.
And in the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
Right. The 14th day is the Passover. Keep going.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye shall eat unleavened bread.
Right.
And the first.
So now we see a feast. So we see a feast being held on the 15th day. Now drop to verse 34.
Verse 34. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
Right. The 15th day of this month is going to be the Feast of Tabernacles. So we got the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We got the Feast of Tabernacles being held on the 15th day. So now go to Deuteronomy 16 and 16. The 15th day, we got Feast of Tabernacles. We got Feast of Unleavened Bread. These are both a 7-day feast.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all the male appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose.
Right, 3 times a year you got to go to the Jerusalem, right?
And in the feast of unleavened bread,
Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is on the 15th,
and in the feast of weeks,
which would be the Pentecost,
and in the feast of tabernacles,
right? That's the fifth. That's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. The Feast of Tabernacles is celebrated on the 15th day. Keep going.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty. Every man.
So now go back. Go back to Sirach 43 and 43.
Fine.
Sirach 43 and 5.
Sirach Ecclesiastes 43 and 5. Great is the Lord that made it, and at his commandment runneth hastily. He made the moon also to serve in her seasons for a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
Keep going.
From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
Right. So the subject matter is about the moon is a sign of feasts, and these feasts we see on the 15th day. On the 15th day would be a full moon. So from the time of the feast on to the end of the month, this moon is going to decrease. It's not decreasing in the beginning of the month. It's not at a full moon at the beginning of the month and decreasing. It's at the time of the feast. It's at a full moon and then it's decreasing. Now keep going.
Um, the beauty of heaven. I don't.
That's,
Hold on.
that's verse 8.
The month is called after her name.
Right. The month is called after the moon. So the new moon, if we say this is the new moon, this will be referring to the new month. Right. Keep going.
Increasing wonderfully in her changing.
Right. Increasing wonderfully in her changing. So the month is declared on this. We've seen it before. Verse 7, it says the moon is a sign of feast and is decreasing. Right now we see the month being the subject matter about the moon, and the light is increasing into her perfection. So in the beginning of the month, we would see the moon increasing in its light. Right. It's not that the beginning of the month starts with a full moon or a moon that's full of light. Right. It's talking about the moon in the subject matter of when it's being talked about the month, it's increasing in its light. And in the times of the festivals, it will be decreasing in its light. And we see these festivals being held on the 15th of the month. Not every festival is held on the 15th day of the month. You know what I mean? But two of these festivals is dedicated to the Most High, where we got to go to Jerusalem. These are the signs, right? So now let's go to Daniel 7:24.
Daniel 7:20 and verse 24. And the 10th horn out of this kingdom, or the 10th,
the 10 horns out of this kingdom, right?
or the 10 kings that shall arise.
All right.
And another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first king, and he shall subdue 3 kings.
Right. So this is talking about the 10 horns, which would be the European Economic Community. These 10 horns derived out of Rome. This is the rise of Rome, or the Renaissance of Rome, the rebirth of Rome. These 10 horns is what came out of the rebirth of Rome, which would be Europe, the European Union, also known as NATO. Right. Within these horns, 3 of these horns was going to get plucked up by one little horn. This one little horn is America plucking up the French, the British, and the Spaniards. Right. This is the Spanish-American War, the French-American War, and the war with Britain. So keep going.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
This little horn is going to wear out the saints of the Most High. This is America. Keep going.
And think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hands until a time and dividing of time.
Right. So he said that, and this horn was going to think to change the laws and times. So this is what happened. The Romans were keeping, right? The Romans were keeping a pre-Julius calendar, which was a solar calendar. Then they grew into the Julius calendar, which became a 10-month. Before the Julius calendar was a 10-month calendar. After this Julius calendar, the Romans adopted a 12-month calendar, which added January and February, which derived out of this Julius calendar is a calendar that we follow today, which would be the Gregorian calendar, right? So let's go here. Let's go into this Gregorian calendar. I want you to read. Let's read the top. You see it? This right here. All right, just read that first paragraph.
The Gregorian calendar is the calendar used in most parts of the world. It went into effect in October 1582, following
Right. So
the
this calendar went into effect in 1582. Right. 1,582 years after Christ. All right. Keep going.
following the papal bull issued by Pope Gregory the what's that,
13th.
13th,
Right. So
which
Gregory, hence where we get the Gregorian calendar from. The Gregorian calendar is named after Pope Gregory the 13th. Keep going.
introduced it as a modification of the of in replacement for the Julian calendar.
Right. So this replaced the Julian calendar, the Roman calendar. Keep going.
The principal change was to space leap years differently so as to make the average calendar year 365.2425 days long. More closely, approximately the 365.2422 days tropical or solar year that is determined by the Earth's revolution around the sun.
Right. So they're following after a solar calendar. We follow, and the Israelites of the Bible followed after a lunar calendar. Right. Now, this is the Wikipedia about the Julian calendar.
The Julian calendar is a solar calendar of 365 days in a year with an additional leap day every fourth year.
Right. So this Julian calendar is this Julian calendar is a solar calendar. Right. They follow and they predicate their times upon the rotation of the sun. Right. The way the Israelites, the children of the Most High God, they predicate their times upon the lunar cycle, from the new moon to the full moon to the back to the new moon. Right. So now let's go here. All right. So now we're in Wikipedia about the Roman calendar. So read from starting according to most Roman accounts. Start there.
According to most Roman accounts, their original calendar was established by their legendary first king Romulus. It consists of 10 months.
Right. So their original calendar consisted of 10 months. Then they adopted this Julian calendar. As a matter of fact, go up to the top where it says the Roman calendar. The Roman calendar was a calendar.
Read there.
Yeah.
The Roman calendar was the calendar used by the Roman Kingdom and Roman Republic. Although the term is primarily used to Rome pre-Julian calendar.
Right. This was used for Rome's pre-Julian calendar. Before the Julian calendar, it was a 10-month calendar. Then they adopted this January and February into their times, right? Keep going.
It is often used collectively,
inclusively
as the Julian calendar established by the reform of the dictator Julius Caesar and Emperor Augustus in the late 1st century BC.
Keep going.
According to most Roman accounts, their original calendar was established by their legendary first king Romulus. It is consisted of 10 months, being in spring with March and leaving winter as an unassigned span of days before the next year.
Right. So these 10 months began with March. The new year began in the spring, where new life is. But now we're seeing this Gregorian calendar that is starting with death. Right. Nothing is living in the winter. Nothing survives in the winter. Right. But before pre-Gregorian, pre-January and February, the new year started with new life, like how we see the Bible teaching. Right? So now, let's read this. Right? Read January.
Okay. January is named after the Roman god Janus. As you can see in this part,
right. January is January is named after January is named after the Roman god Janus. So January and February wasn't in the calendar. It was starting with March. All of a sudden, they added this January in remembrance of their Roman god called Janus. Keep going.
As you can see in this print, he had two faces, so he could use the future and the past. He was also the god of doors.
Right, and this is just Roman bullshit, right? So now we understand that they changed the times and the we got to understand that they changed the times and the seasons, right? So this calendar that they gave us, it can't be accurate to the biblical calendar, right? So now let's go to Psalms 89 and 37.
Psalms 89:37. It shall be established forever as the moon and as a faithful witness in heaven.
So
Salah.
the context is being talked about. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is going out of my lips. Once I have sworn by my holiness that I will not lie unto David. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. It shall be established forever as the moon. Right? So they can change the times and the seasons. But something that we're going to have forever is this moon. The Most High God gave us a calendar to follow after. Right? And it's going to stand forever. We don't need to depend on man to tell us when our days is. Right? So let's go to Leviticus 23 and 25.
Leviticus 23 and 25. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Keep going.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of this 7th month there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your soul, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right. So now we have in the 7th month a day of atonement. Right. We have to afflict our souls. Keep going.
And ye shall do no work in that day, that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
Mm-hmm.
For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in the same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people.
Keep going.
Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
Keep going.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your soul.
Right. So this is the 10th day of the 7th month. We're gonna go back to 26. It says on the 7th month, right, on the 10th day, right? So keep going.
It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your soul. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even to even, shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
So now, by going according to the monthly calendar to a fixed schedule, the first day is going to be a Sabbath. 7 days after that, it's going to be the 8th day. Right? 7 days after the first day is going to be the 8th day. 7 days after the 8th day is going to be the 15th, the day of the 15th. 7 days after that is going to be the 22nd. So here it's telling us to keep the Day of Atonement on the 10th day as a Sabbath, and it's telling us to celebrate our Sabbath on the 9th day. So right now, next week is our Day of Atonement. So today is our Sabbath. Today is Wednesday, August 16th. So the new moon was Tuesday night to Wednesday night, right? The new moon was last night. We started our Sabbath because that is the new month, right? The month is named after the moon. The moon is a new month. So now that it's Tuesday to Wednesday right now, next week, our Sabbath will be Wednesday to Thursday. and then it's going to be Thursday night to Friday night is going to be our Day of Atonement. So from the 23rd to the 24th is now our Sabbath instead of the 22nd to the 23rd, as it would have been. But because of this Day of Atonement, we see an offset. There's an offset here. So this proves that the Sabbath is not on a fixed day, right? It's skipping from the 8th day to the 9th day. And not only do we keep a Sabbath on the 9th day, but we also keep a Sabbath on the 10th day for the Day of Atonement. But we don't have to prepare any meals. We don't have to do that because it's a day of fasting. It's a day of neglecting yourself and afflicting your souls. So let's go to Amos 8 and 5. Matter of fact, let's go to Leviticus 23 and 39. Salakia.
This is Leviticus 23 and 39. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. And in the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
So we got the first day of Sabbath, the 8th day of Sabbath, but on the Day of Atonement, we see that it's being held on the 9th and the 10th day. This proves an offset and it can't be fixed. Let's go to Amos 8 and 5.
Amos 8 and 5, saying, when will the new moon be gone? When will the new moon be gone?
Right, they're saying, when will the new moon be gone? All right, keep going.
That we may sell corn, and the Sabbath that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balance of deceit by deceit.
So we see them having an issue, right? The Most High having contention with his people because they can't wait for the new moon to be gone so that they can sell corn and they can buy and sell. But there's nowhere in the law that says on the new moon that you can't buy or sell. So why is the Most High God making an issue with this? He only makes an issue when it comes to those who breaks his law, right? But we see on the first day, right, when we go back to Leviticus 20, 23, and 39, we see, and ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Why is the first day a Sabbath? Because it's the new moon. It's the new month. The beginning of the new month is a Sabbath, right? So now we see in Amos 8 and 5, when will the new moon be gone that we may sell corn? Now let's see if a scholar, a translator, would agree with what we're saying. So we're going to go to Amos 8 and 5 in the NLT. I got it. It says, you can't wait for the Sabbath day to be over and the religious festivals to end, so you can get back to cheating the helpless, right? So even a translator understood that this new moon was a Sabbath. And the Most High is making this an issue, right? Because on the new moon, they can't wait for it to be over so they can get back to their business and overcharging their people and cheating their people, right? So let's go to Leviticus 23 and 24.
Leviticus 23 and 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yep.
Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Right. So yesterday we celebrated the Feast of Trumpets. Right. They said that this Feast of Trumpets is a Sabbath day. This Sabbath day, this Feast of Trumpets is on the first day of the month. So if we're going by the Gregorian calendar, let's just say you celebrate the Feast of Trumpets on Saturday, in September 1st, that's going to be on a Friday. So the 31st at evening, which would be a Thursday, that Thursday evening would be Friday, right? So Thursday evening to Friday evening is the Feast of Trumpets if you celebrated it on September 1st, right? So if you're keeping a fixed Friday, Saturday Sabbath, you'll be having a Sabbath from Thursday to Friday and then from Friday to Saturday, right? Now, if you force it, if you now come to agreement that this Gregorian calendar is not a true calendar according to the Bible, then you would have to keep it Friday to Saturday in September. So that would be September 2nd, right? The first is Friday. So Friday night will be the second. To Saturday night will be the second. So now you have to agree, right, that this calendar is not correct and is not true, because you should be celebrating it on the first day. So if you're not celebrating on the first day of the month, then you're going against what the Most High said. And if your first day of the month is not your Sabbath, then it's contradicting the law. So something is incorrect. It's either the doctrine or it's really because they changed the times and the seasons, right? And you're forcing it. You have to force it because a lie has to be backed up with another lie and another lie, right? So if you're celebrating on the first, it's going to contradict your regularly scheduled Sabbath. So then you have to break the Gregorian calendar. So we have to come in agreement. So how do we determine what the true calendar is if the first September 1st is not the day that's really the first day to be celebrating the Feast of Trumpets? It would be predicated upon the moon. And it's hard for anybody to disagree with that. It's in the Bible. The moon is the month. The new moon is the new month. That's the first day, right? So let's go to Psalms 81 and 3.
This is Psalm 81, verse 3. Blow up the trumpets in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
Right. So now let's go into the interlinear of what this new moon word is. The new moon, the outline of biblical usage. Can you see it, King?
Time.
Read it.
New moon. Month. Monthly. The first day of the month. The lunar month.
Right. So the new moon is the first day of the month. Right. So we understand they changed it, but they can't change. They can never take that moon. Right. So when we go into this Strong's definition here, the new moon, a month, the new moon. So this is the first day of the month, right? So let's go back. Because this is what someone would say, right? So they'll say the new moon is the first day of the month. Then some people out here are saying that the full moon is really the new moon. And this is where they're misunderstanding, right? So we got the new moon, meaning the first day of the month. Now let's go in the time appointed. The time appointed is full moon, right? That's what that means, full moon. So read Psalms 81 and 3 again.
Time. Psalms 81 and verse 3. Blow up the trumpets in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
Right. So now they'll say that the new moon is really the full moon, and the Europeans and the Grecians changed also what the new moon is and what the full moon is, according to their misunderstanding right here. But this is two different things. It says, blow the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Now let's prove that they're conflating the new moon with the full moon. I'm going to read Psalms 81 and 3 in the NLT. Psalms 81 and 3. It says, blow the ram's horn at new moon and again at full moon to call a festival. Why? Because these festivals happen on the 15th day. So the full moon will be at its fullest on the 15th day. It's differentiating what the new moon is and what the full moon is. So let's go keep on reading. Psalms 81.
Um, for this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed.
So this is a law, right? This was a statute for Israel that we have to blow this trumpet on the new moon and on the full moon, right? So what happened when he delivered us out of Egypt? When did this happen, right? Let's go to Numbers 33 from the top.
Number 33. These are the journeys of the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt with their armies under the hand of Moses and Aaron. And Moses wrote their goings out according to their journeys by the commandments of the Lord. And these are the journeys according to their goings out. And they departed from Ramesses in the first month of the 15th day of the first month on the morrow after the Passover. The children of Israel went out with high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians.
Right. So now when it's telling us in Psalms 81 and 1, right? Well, really, let's just go to 4. It says this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob that he adorned in Joseph for a testimony when he got us out of Egypt. Right. So when is this blowing of trumpet in the new moon? Right. If you're going to say that this is the full moon, right, then that happened in the 15th day. So even if you say that the new moon is the full moon, right here is proven that that's the 15th day. So we're still missing the first day of the month. Right. So now let's go to Numbers 10 and 10.
This is number 10, verse 10. Also, in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn day, and in the beginning of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifice of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God.
So we seen them blowing the trumpet on the 15th day because it's in remembrance of the 15th day that we got out of Egypt. Right. This was dealing with the feast of unleavened bread and the Passover. Right. The Passover, the destroyer went over and killed all the firstborn sons. Then Ramses, the Pharaoh came and said, "Get your people out of here." Right. On the 15th day, they took flight. So this was that blowing of trumpet at that time. And we also see that it's a blowing of trumpets in the beginning of our months. Right. So now let me read it in the NIV, the ESV. Yes, in the ESV. It says, on the day of your gladness also, and at your appointed feasts, and at the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings. They shall be a reminder of you before your God. I'm the Lord your God. So these are the appointed feasts that we look back at Psalms, right? Psalms 81 and 3, blow up your trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. We got new moon feasts, then we got feast days, right? We got to blow the trumpet on the first day and on the feast of our 15th day, right? Now, let's go to Ezekiel 46 and 1.
Ezekiel 46:1. Thus saith the Lord God, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6th working day, but on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open.
right? So the gates facing the east, right, of the inner court would be open on the Sabbath days. And we see one of the Sabbath days being considered a new moon, because a new moon is a Sabbath, right? Let's go to Genesis 1:1.
Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters.
Right. So in the beginning, the earth was without form and dark. So the beginning of how things started, it was dark, right? It says, read verse 14.
And Genesis 13, verse 1:14, and God said, "Let there be light in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be a sign and for seasons and for days and years."
Right. Keep going.
And let them be for light in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
Keep going.
And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day.
Right. So we seen, right, that darkness came before the light. And we see that the beginning of the day starts in the evening. So darkness starts first, and then it gradually grows into light, just like the moon. The new moon, it will start in darkness, and it will gradually go to its full brightness, and then it will decrease back to its darkness to go back to the beginning of the next month. Let's go to Sirach 39:12.
Sirach 39, verse 12. Yet have I one more to say. Yet have I more to say, one which I have taught upon, for I am full as the moon at the full.
Right, he said, I have more to say and I have thought upon, for I am filled as the moon at the full. Right, he's filled with what? He's not filled with darkness, he's filled with light. As the moon in the full, so the full moon would be a time of darkness. I mean, a time of light, and the new moon would be a time of darkness, right? And let's prove that again. Sirach 50 and verse 6.
It's Sirach 50, verse 6. He was as the morning star in the midst of a cloud, and as the moon at the full.
Right? So the morning star would be shining. The morning star would be giving light. Right? It's one of the brightest stars in the sky. And he was as the morning star and as the moon at the full. Why? Because you wouldn't see the shining star if it was dark. Right? You see it, and you wouldn't see the moon if it was dark. Right? He's saying that this moon is full is because you can see it. You can see its brightness. Right? So us here, we keep the lunar Sabbath because according to the scriptures, the moon is based on the month. The month is named after the moon. So the new moon would be the new month, right? Not only do we see that the moon determines the new month, but we also see that there is not a fixed Sabbath. It's not predicated upon every 7 days, right? And not only that, but we see the new moon being treated as a Sabbath, as a custom of the Israelites. The gates was open on the Sabbath, right, and on the new moon. And they weren't buying and selling like how they do on the Sabbath on the new moon. They're treating this new moon as a Sabbath because the new moon is a Sabbath. We keep our Sabbath on the first day, the 8th day, the 15th day, and the 22nd day. The reason why we keep it on the first day is because the new moon brings in that first day of the new month. right? And we do not go predicated upon the Gregorian calendar because the times and seasons have been changed. According to the Bible, according to the last ruling kingdom of this Bible, will be changing our times in our holy days, in our festivals, right? So, Lord willing, this helped a couple of you brothers out. Lord willing, this to give understanding to those that wonder why we keep a lunar Sabbath, right? And hopefully this brought insight within the community. If you have any questions, we always here. With that, we're going to say shalom.